And it's funny because right now I've got like a big, here we go. All right, great. Well, I want to welcome everybody if we're good to start. I know it's 4:03. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, April 7th. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Settled here. So, um, I guess just real quick, an update is, the Board of Finance passed a recommended budget to go to referendum. The details of the budget are on the town website, and we always publish in the source as well. I just want to highlight the town of Madison budget that is being recommended by the Board of Finance. Totaled $36.3 million. That's a 2.73% increase. That's including all capital costs as well as operational costs. And then the Board of Education budget that's being recommended is $67.5 million, and that is up 4.09% from the previous year. The total combined budgets are increasing by 3.61%. So encourage everybody, there's lots of information on the website that includes the presentations that both the Board of Education, Board of Selectmen, and then also the Board of Finance made about the budgets after an extensive budget workshop process. And the voting is occurring on April 28th, Tuesday, April 28th. And that is the first time we've had an April referendum. Our new charter from a few years ago does allow for the vote to occur now in late April to target that. And I want to highlight that and a reminder to anybody watching or anybody out there, if you are a District 1 voter, the voting location is changed this year because of construction going on at Polson Middle School, which is where you used to vote in the gym. Just for this year only, you're going to be voting at the senior center, which is where you used to vote many years ago. So we're going back to the senior center just for this 1 year. So any type of voting activity in District 1 is at the senior center. I also want to highlight that you can vote by absentee ballot for the budget, but we do not have early voting for the budget. That's not part of any voting. Early voting is only applies to statewide elections or federal elections. It does not apply to local elections. So just wanted to remind everybody of that. Please pay attention and be sure to vote. And if you can't be here in person on April 28th, please, you can get an absentee ballot now through the town clerk's office, and the process is all on the website. So with that, I'll turn it over to any board member liaison reports or selectmen comments.
Nothing.
Anybody? No? Okay. All right, moving on. And I guess we can open it up to citizens' comments. Please raise your hand and we will try to elevate you and limit your comments to state your name and address and try to limit them to like 2 minutes if possible. Thank you. Any hands raised? No?
Yes, there's one. Hold on one second.
Okay. Yep.
Go ahead, Dave.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm sorry, you're kind of echoing. If you could state your name and address, please, for the record, and you're echoing.
Yeah, I have to figure out how to do this.
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot hear you. So we'll give it a second here, but there's also an opportunity at the end of the meeting to make public comments.
We dial back in.
And you can share your public comments at the end of the meeting. Do we have any more hands raised? Don't see
No.
anything else. Okay. I think what we'll do is go on at this point. Moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved. Second.
Okay, any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to item number 7. Discuss and take action to approve an appropriation of $100,000 to the Meals on Wheel Reserve Fund pending Board of Finance approval. Can I get a
Moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so this was basically just following on, I know our boards have had a lot of conversations about Meals on Wheels, and how it has been funded through, basically an endowment, fund. And then how do we sustain that moving forward? And we talked about putting it as part of the regular operating budget. There's been a lot of discussion about that. And I think during the budget process, we had contemplated doing an appropriation just to make sure that the funds were available to continue over the next couple of years to fund it as we kind of sort out how we're going to pay for this. And I know, so there was some back and forth on this between us and the Board of Finance, I think, but both boards were, very committed to ensuring that we had adequate funding. So the thought was, let's just get ahead of this and get the appropriation done now so that the money's there, and then we can still have these conversations about kind of long term. I do know that we have continued to receive some very generous donations. I don't have the firm numbers yet. Madison Foundation had reached out, but we have been successful in some of our fundraising. And so I think there's, growing confidence that we'll be able to, this money will kind of help get us through the next 2 years, and we'll be able to big up a bigger, kind of pot of money, so to speak, to fund this. But so those are my comments. I don't know if anybody else on the board would like to talk about this.
Well, I just like to, re-express my concern. This is, at some level, going to be a normal operating expense for the town. What exactly that amount is, I don't know. But the idea that we're paying for an ongoing expense with a special appropriation troubles me. I'm not sure it's wise. I don't think it was wise for the Board of Finance to cut it out. And, we need to do this to keep the program solvent. But this can't be a long-term solution.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, Bruce. Yes, this year's a little bit of a one-off as we're making this transition, but I agree. I would not want this to be funded through a special appropriation in perpetuity. I think, it will need to be incorporated into the normal operating budget. Sure, we can give this year a go and see what kind of donations we could perhaps anticipate through the Madison Foundation, but eventually this, and, soon, would need to transition into a normal operating expense.
Yeah, and I think we all agree that somehow we're gonna have to continue to fund this. I think the hope was that, if we can avoid having a big, expenditure in the budget and start having it, funded outside the budget, which is kind of how it had been over the last couple of years, that we hope to aspire to that. So I agree that we're gonna have to monitor and watch this, and then I think, see where this ends up over the next year, as we enter into our budget negotiations next year. But I think all of us are committed to maintaining this service.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's any other questions or comments?
I'm going to support this as well. This is not a program in which we can afford to have a service interruption.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I agree. I agree. I think, but I agree with Bruce. To me, this feels like a short-term fix versus a long-term fix. So, I think, at some point our hands are a little bit tied this year because we need to keep the wheels on, no pun intended, to this program. But we've got to come up, collaboratively with a better solution with the Board of Finance here to fund this.
Agreed. Okay, with that then, I guess if there's no further comments or questions, all in favor, say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye, great. Um, Item number 8, discuss and take action to accept a recommendation from the Beach and Rec to increase the cost of non-residential seasonal and daily beach passes for the 2026 season.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
So this we had talked about last week or seems like it was last week, but maybe it was 2 weeks ago. It's all blurred to me right now. And I know that the commission had, recommended, quite a substantial increase in terms of, obviously the fees that we were charging last year were kind of we had to follow and conform with the grant agreement that we signed several years ago with the state while we were going through the construction process of the Government Improvement Plan. Now we have the opportunity to kind of step back and say, okay, what makes sense, going forward. I know we've all seen significant cost increases across the board for all of our maintenance and, costs of maintaining our beach facilities. I did express some concern at the last meeting that I felt that the jump in prices for the and this is just non-residential. So if anybody's watching, this is not for residents. The commission recommended maintaining the same $40, season pass fee for residents. This is for non-residents. And I just felt like it was a really big jump. You have somebody who came here last year or the last 2 summers with their family, enjoyed it. It was $20 to come in and use the facility for the afternoon. And then all of a sudden to have those same people show up here and say, oh no, it's not 20, it's $75 now, I just felt like that seemed just a very big jump to me. I think always as government, we don't typically do such, um, surprises, I guess, to the public. And so in the spirit of that, my thinking was that the Beach and Rec Commission could kind of rethink about this and maybe phase it in over 2 years. There's a goal that we want to get to, but maybe just have a more gradual increase so that you just, people might be driving from other parts of the state for an afternoon at the beach, and then it is kind of a off-putting number that were being recommended, I thought at the time. Um, and so that was my thinking. They have not met yet, from what I understand. So I thought they were going to have a meeting in between this meeting, but I guess they're meeting tonight. So
Yes,
I
tonight
guess the
after this
question is,
meeting.
do we still want to plow through and approve this, or do we want to give them the opportunity to rethink it or maybe phase it in?
I'm prepared to vote on it as they recommended. I think consistently during the construction of Garvin Point, one of the comments that we heard from the public was, why are we charging so little to non-residents? And, you know, given that this is comparable to what the surrounding towns are doing, and the fact that anybody traveling to Madison to go to the beach can go for free, not even $20 to Hammonasset, I think asking non-residents to pitch in for the cost of maintaining the facility is fair, and even at the prices proposed, it really barely even makes a dent. So I don't have any qualms about it. I think people visiting family and friends in Madison, the worst they're going to do is pay for a resident day pass, and that hasn't changed. So we've provided or we have a free alternative in town. I say we move forward with the schedule as presented by the Beach and Rec.
And I agree with that because, in the presentation that Beach and Rec gave us, it sounds like they deliberated over this pretty heavily within their own meetings about what was the right path forward for the non-resident season and daily passes. And this is what they settled on. I know there's some concern that perhaps this could be stressful for our gate attendants, but I think that stress is going to be there no matter what, whether it's a singular increase this year or whether they come this year with a small increase and then they come back next year with a small increase. I think you're going to get complaints potentially either way from those non-residents. So in that regard, I think it's better just to rip the Band-Aid off and be done with it. I think the prices are reasonable for the services that and the amenities that we have down at Surf Club, not to mention folks can come in for free after, what is it, 5 p.m. anyway. Uh, there is one thing that maybe Bruce, you could take this to Beach and Rec Commission when they meet this evening for consideration. Is I had a resident propose to me, would there be potential for offering a window of opportunity for residents of Madison to purchase a non-resident season pass for their family members who live out of town? I thought that was a good idea. I think it could be a Madison resident satisfier because there are some people that, aren't fans of the non-resident season passes to begin with. But if it gave them the opportunity to get a season pass, non-resident season pass for their family members, that could potentially help to alleviate some, political frustrations surrounding the season passes. But at the end of the day, I am comfortable with the pricing that Beach and Rec proposed and to institute that this year.
Yeah, I can certainly bring that up. Austin is in the meeting here in the
Oh,
audience.
okay.
So between he and I'm sure we can remember to bring that up tonight.
Great. Thank you.
I mean, I think we all recognize that none of this is going to have an impact on, most of our facilities are paid through taxpayer dollars, right? So we get that. I think that whether we charge $75, $100, or $20, it's still going to be heavily paid for by Madison residents. So I like the idea of giving some residents an opportunity because I know a lot of people have family that live in adjacent communities, and a lot of times it's grandparents that help take the kids to the beach, and and that way they don't have to switch the car seats out all the time when they get in the car or whatever. But so I know that's a big positive thing that could be, offered. So I think that's I would let the commission, hash that out, and Austin think about that, how it would be allowed and how you would do that and orchestrate that. Al, and what's your thoughts on this?
I'm very sympathetic to the point that Bruce and Jen have made. I guess I'm also sympathetic to what feels like a 350% increase, if my arithmetic is correct, from $20 up to $75. It just challenges my sense of moderation. I guess I'd rather see this take place over 2 years. If Beach and Rec thinks $75 is the correct number, I'd rather get there in 2 jumps than in 1 jump.
Yeah, Scott, I don't know what your thought is.
Yeah, I think if the market analysis that the Beach and Rec Commission has done has told us that we are woefully undercharging, then we should move forward. I think sometimes you just have to do it. And I guess I hear you, Al, on the over 2 years, I probably could be swayed to go that way as well. But I think sometimes we just got to rip the Band-Aid off. And, I recall in our last conversation, I think I was, a little shocked and awe at the number, but the flip side of that is if you looked at comparably to some of the other towns, we're still under those other towns. So, I think I'm inclined to support this.
So I'm just looking at, because what Austin had provided us, the only town that's at $75 is Clinton. Guilford's at 50. And I know that it used to be higher, but Guilford is now at 50, and Old Saybrook's at $30 on the
But 50
weekends.
for Guilford is Monday through Thursday, right? Aren't we like calibrating the days differently slightly as well?
No, daily pass $50. I think they used to be 75 and this year they're just a flat. Maybe we can invite Austin up, but
I wrote
uh
down 75 for weekend, Friday to Sunday, and then 50 was Monday through Thursday for Guilford.
that's Clinton.
Oh, okay, maybe that's Clinton.
I mean, obviously we have much better beaches and bigger beaches than both of them, so we tend to attract more people out of town. What if we were just to vote to say, let them reconsider it tonight, and if they decide to stick with the path that they're on, then we're okay with that? I just feel like they need to talk about it again. We had a big conversation, and I just think that they're meeting tonight. I think it's worth them because they did have an extensive conversation about it, right? But now they've had the benefit of hearing us deliberate. Um, so we could pass this conditional upon Beach and Rec's final recommendation that we
Is
would go
Austin
with.
up? Did we pull Austin into this conversation or no?
No,
Is he here?
he's still in the audience.
Is it?
I'm unclear as to what you're proposing.
Well, I
Proposing
would like them to consider phasing this in over 2 years. And if tonight they meet and they say they don't want to do it, they've done their homework and they're 100% comfortable with that, with the decision they make, then we would just agree to it. I just think they need to have a conversation. They made a recommendation weeks ago to us, right? We had a big conversation about it, and they haven't had a chance to really reflect on that, I think, and have another conversation. Is all I'm saying. So, without delaying them to have to come back to us again, I'm just saying we're going to go with what they're recommending, but I think they need to think about a 2-year phase in. That's my thought, since they're meeting tonight. They
So
may
Okay.
you're
not agree
proposing
to it.
to
They might
amend.
just say, nope, we're happy with what we did, and that's it. I just don't think they've really thought about it since our conversation, and I think
So
we
let's add
had a lot
Austin's
of good
here
points.
now.
Yeah.
Austin,
Yeah, Austin.
have you guys considered a 2-year phase in? Have they considered a 2-year phase in?
So I believe it was discussed, and there was, as you all are saying, there was a lengthy discussion about different ways to do it, and this is what they decided on. But I can, at the 7 p.m. meeting tonight, bring this back to them. Um, and I think either way is okay. If you decide to put it in their hands, that's fine. If you want them to make a decision and then come back for the last meeting in April and bring it back to the board, that's okay too.
Austin, do you have any insights or considerations that should be taken into mind with this as far as like our gate attendance go about, what would be most beneficial for them having to deal with it 2 years in a row increases versus just one go round or
I think as Scott and I think Al said, we're fortunate to have Hammonasset a mile from us. So if non-residents get to the gate at Surf Club and balk at the 50 or $75 fee, depending on what day of the week they come, they're a 2-minute drive from Hammonasset, which is free.
Mhm.
So, that's a great explanation that the gate guards can give, and they'll be instructed on how to, interact like they always are with folks, provide directions to Hammonasset, provide information that it's free. Um, either if it stays at 20 or goes to 40 or goes to 50 and 75, there's always some negative interactions we have with residents and non-residents alike. I don't think uh, it's not going to change if the fee changes. If we didn't have Hammonasset so close, yes, I think that would be an issue. But having Hammonasset right down the road makes it a little easier to swallow, I think.
And what about maybe some pricing signboards, some like A-frame sideboards that maybe went, up at like Boston Post Road or,
Circle.
wherever, yeah, the circle, wherever people are typically um, commuting from, so that they have the opportunity to decide ahead of time before they even get to the guard gates if they are interested in paying the new prices.
Yeah, we're having signs made up as we speak, so we could add that to the list of signs. Sure.
No, I
Okay.
think it's a great idea. And the other benefit is we won't have it this summer, but next summer we're going to have sidewalks. So you can walk from
Yeah.
downtown to the beach, which we don't have that this summer. So there is a free alternative as well,
Right. And the
for people.
extra mile, that people could get
Yeah,
the extra mile from
yeah,
the train station or the commuter lot.
right. So there are going to be other ways to get there. We just don't have that available this summer. That's all. So
Mhm.
you're it's a long haul. Anyway, as we know.
If we did, I could ask one question. If we do go with Jen's recommendation to do a resident time frame to purchase the non-resident season passes for their family or friends, um, do we still want to limit that to 100? Or do we want to say 50-50, 50 for residents, 50 for non-residents? Just as some kind of guidance to bring to them tonight.
I think that would be fair to put, a number in place, because we're even people, the way we've done it in the past years, it's kind of been luck of the draw. Do you get there in time, like for these 100 passes? So I think, doing a limited period of time for a limited number of Madison residents to purchase non-resident season passes, limited time span, limited number, so that there is still, a market available to everybody else.
I would say if we're going to do that, we limit it to one non-resident season pass per resident family.
That seems fair.
So I guess on this issue, it sounds like there's not any desire to drag this out. So I think we just have to, basically the vote would be to accept their recommendation, right? Is that how it is? Which I know historically we've usually done that.
Yep.
Um,
I'm okay with that, Peggy.
okay. All right. So I guess if it's okay, I'll call the vote, right? All in favor of accepting the Beach and Rec Commission's recommendation for non-resident seasonal daily pass prices for 2026, say aye.
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 I'll go ahead and vote for it. I do think they have spent a lot of time on this. We've had a lot of discussion. It's expensive running our beaches, and so it is going to make a big difference in revenue for us. I mean, it'll give us another quick back of the envelope, 70 to $100,000. If we sell as many as we have in the past. That's a back of the envelope that I calculated. So that is going to be meaningful in terms of, especially we know we have all kinds of work that has to happen at the surf club. So, okay, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to item, and thanks, Austin. Item number 10 is an update from the Conservation Commission on the town's natural.
No, you skipped 9.
Yep, 9.
Oh, sorry. Discuss and take action to accept a donation of a mural at the surf club to be installed for the 2026 beach season. Can I get
Oh, so
motion?
moved. Second.
Okay, great. So this was well, I'll let Austin, he can probably speak better to this about who the artist is. He's obviously somebody local, and this was kind of seen as another thing to celebrate our 200th bicentennial. So Austin, why don't you walk through the mural and where it would go?
Thank you. So Patrick Ganino, Madison resident, approached the 200 committee to do a mural at the surf club. And so I met with him down here a few weeks ago, and we walked the property, and he kind of fell in love with the Garvin bathroom, the brick building out on Garvin Point, as a big brick blank canvas to work on. Not
the bathrooms themselves.
The back of the
building.
Brick, yeah. So he took some time to. So let me backtrack a little bit. So he is, nationwide known muralist. Has done a mural at Bradley International Airport that's there. He's done murals for many members of the Hollywood circuit, sports, movies. So he's a
Chase.
big deal, and we are very lucky to have him in town and fortunate for him to want to donate this, I think, to us. So he took some time and developed three test murals that I sent out to you all, so you have those in front of you. And the 200th committee did a straw poll at their last meeting last week and decided to go, from their viewpoint, to go with the sandcastle scene with the two children sitting in front. He's really excited about it. He's got some great passion and energy to bring to this project, and I think it will add something fun to the surf club out at Garvin Point. He'll incorporate the town seal, the 200th birthday seal as well. So yeah, and he wants to get started as soon as if we give him the go ahead, and have it ready to go for Memorial Day. So, be happy to answer any questions. And
Well, I mean, I'm grateful that, we have a resident who's able to donate something so, special, I guess, to the town and talented. And he did the mural at Polson, right? Didn't he also paint a mural?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and one of our municipal build or school buildings. So, so I think thank you to him, and obviously we'll want to thank him directly at one point, maybe do an unveiling or something once it's finished, down at the surf club. That your commission is going to be hearing it tonight, right?
Correct. Yep, they'll be
Um,
voting on it tonight. So I think
Okay.
similar to what you just did, I would go that route as well.
Yeah, and so, maybe we could just amend it to, pending, Beach and Rec Commission approval. Any concerns or questions from the board about the mural or,
I do just have a quick question about what is the ongoing maintenance of the mural going to be? Over time as it weathers and fades and that sort of thing. How would that be handled?
So yeah, that's a great question. I think there will be a time where there will no longer be a mural there, and we'll have to decide at what point it weathers enough to be taken down. That point may not be reached until after the master plan is, well, it won't be reached till after the master plan is finished. And, we don't know what's going to happen with the Garvin bathroom. It's an old building, probably needs replacement. So, depending on where that falls into the time frame of projects for the master plan, I think we'll get pretty close to that
Could be
building
a
either
point
coming
anyway.
down. Yeah.
Okay.
If not, we'll have to make a decision on when it weathers to the point where it's no longer visually pleasing.
Mhm. Or if Patrick would be willing to refresh it if the building remains, because I think he did that recently to his mural up at Lyman. I think he did the mural on the Apple Barrel Market up at Lyman.
He did. Yep.
Yeah.
So great. I mean, I think it's kind of a cool thing. It would be a little fun thing for people to check out, this summer, and just a nice addition. And it'll take a beating down there, obviously, with the weather. So I don't know how long it'll stay fresh. So we'll just have to address that as we go forward. And as Austin said, those bathrooms could get totally relocated once we have a master plan in place, but that'll be several years away. So, any other questions?
We picking a design right now, or what's are we
Yeah,
supposed to
in the
give it
packet, no, in the packet, there was
I see the
three
three. Yeah.
yeah, but the Madison 200 committee is recommending the middle one with the
Okay.
sandcastle.
Yeah, good.
And so I'm assuming if everybody's good with that recommendation, then the Beach and Rec Commission is going to be discussing it tonight as well. But it sounds like that's the pick, so to speak.
I think given that it's called the Surf Club and we can see some surf in there is probably a good thing. So
You don't
I
like the
like it.
ominous giant seagull that's
Yeah,
I know.
he was
French fries?
he looks a little scary to me.
Getting ready to take
I,
the
I
French
was
fries
thinking of
down.
like Alfred Hitchcock at the time,
Yeah,
but
feed the birds, right? Yeah. Yeah.
it would be really cool looking though. You have to admit
Yeah,
it would look pretty
no, it would
cool.
be. It would
It
be.
would be like a really unique thing, but I almost think it might be a little scary for the kids or something like that. So,
Yeah, I
Sorry
like the
for
big
me. Like,
seagull, but I'm happy to accept
uh,
the recommendation of both the Madison 200 and Beach and Rec commissions on this.
design number two is a little more Disney-esque too. I think it's a little
yeah.
more happy.
Mm,
Yeah, I think the kids and stuff would, and it's kind of near the playground and it kind of
yeah.
fits that vibe more.
The Magical
Uh,
Kingdom.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, great. We'll pass on our thanks and let us know the schedule more when he's going to do it and all that, and then we'll try to do like some sort of event around it, which would be kind of cool to get people
Absolutely.
excited about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
And now you can go.
Thanks.
Update from the Conservation Commission on the town's natural resource inventory and possible funding sources. So I think we have the chair of the Conservation Commission here. And I know this is something that we've been talking about wanting to do for a long time. And I think they just want to get the support I'll work with them to identify possibly using the planning reserve or something like that. So we got to figure out the price structure. But I'll let Heather talk to a little bit more what this is. Welcome, Heather.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't realize I had everything turned off. Oh, and my just did something else. Okay.
Here.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for fitting us into the agenda on short notice. Thank you, Peggy, for that intro because we do not come before you today with possible funding sources. We are instead here with a plea for a commitment for the town to finally fund a natural resource inventory. When the Conservation Commission was founded, and it's 20 years ago this month, one of the commission charges from the town was to complete a natural resource inventory in accordance with the state statutes. And a natural resource inventory, for those who haven't heard me emote on this before, is supposed to catalog what we know in our town, past and present, about the natural resources in order for the community to effectively plan for the future. Over the years, and I've been on the commission the whole darn time, we've made several good faith efforts to complete the inventory. I got at least 4 drafts and a whole bunch of really out-of-date maps to show for those efforts. But our major obstacle for completing it has been an in-house lack of expertise and the lack of funding to hire any needed experts. Over the years, we as a commission and various town planners have looked for funding opportunities, and we've found nothing for a baseline inventory. Most of the granting opportunities are for adjustment to an inventory or for doing something that's recommended by the inventory, but not for actually doing the baseline inventory. In 2025, we actually sat down in January as the commission and said, we are going to get this sucker done in this calendar year. And we went through the whole process of developing an RFQ and figuring everything out and had gotten told, yeah, it looks like this is something that, planning reserve money we should be able to use something like planning reserve money. And then we got told it got used for something else on an emergency basis. So now here we are in 2026. But since the creation of the Conservation Commission, there have been 2 updates to the Town Plan of Conservation and Development, both of which have listed the completion of an NRI as a high priority. There's been the completion of the strategic plan, which found that Madison's natural resources are one of our town's major attractions. And there have been several highly contested development projects, which I'm not going to bother to list because we all know what they are, but the members of our commission honestly feel that if the town had had an NRI a lot of the environmental questions that ended up going to litigation could have been minimized or eliminated, and it would have saved the town a lot of legal expenses and a lot of frustration. Currently, the town is paying for the creation of a master plan for the surf club. We've got the tree advisory committee that's been created and is desperately looking for data so that they can do their job. And we're undergoing a massive reworking of the zoning regulations. And all of these things are things that could be more effectively, efficiently, and done with a natural resource inventory in place. So in the state handbook for conservation commissions, it says that, people are like, well, aren't you trying to take somebody else's job? The Conservation Commission is not in competition with other agencies. We're supposed to be helping them. And they said we should be reviewed as the conservation consciousness of the community. So cute. But as that conscience, we are saying now in our birthday month that Madison needs to make funding an NRI a priority because all of our municipal planning is supposed to be flowing from an understanding and protection of our natural resources. And honestly, at this point, Madison is so far behind the curve. We are, I think, the only, but if not one of only 2 or 3 towns on the Connecticut coastline that did not actually have a natural resource inventory in place. So that's what I've got to say. There's a couple other members of my commission that are on this Zoom as well, and they'd like to say a couple things too. If Jean could promote either, let's see, Terry, Sophia, John, and Amy are the 4 that I know should be on the Zoom.
So Heather, what kind of funding do you expect to need to do this?
We're looking in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. We're not talking about a huge amount of money. Most of the data is there. It's, when we started this process 20 years ago, it was, oh, GIS, it's really complicated. It's really hard to get it together. Now you go to the state database, you pull this stuff out. It needs to be compiled specifically for Madison, and it needs to be, in actual site-specific stuff needs to be integrated. But,
So I just want to mention, Heather, that after the Plan of Conservation Development was passed, there were a couple of studies that were highlighted as things that we need to complete, right?
Yes.
As part of
And this
the
is one of them,
POCD.
yeah.
And this is one of them. So, of course, we've been planning to do this. We're going to use our planning reserve. It's actually on the list. And so the idea is we're going to have to come back with a specific dollar amount that we're asking for, and then we have to get both boards to approve that.
Yeah,
So
so
there's
we're
no not
yeah.
lack of support. It's just
it's been very much chicken and egg. It's like
Yeah.
okay, well, we have an RFQ, but we can't put out the RFQ till we have a number, but we don't have a number until we know what we have permission to
Right.
spend.
And I think
So,
that the idea here is just to make the board aware that we would
Yeah.
like to use planning reserve dollars for this. And if we're going to go forward with this, we would have to
Yeah.
get the funding approved by both boards. So,
Yeah.
and so I think this is an important thing. We have this, and the other one that we have on the list is the historic historic assets, same thing, right? Full
Yeah.
historic asset inventory too. So,
And actually, the historic assets, one of the parts of natural resource inventory, actually, one of the things that they say should be in there is cultural resources that need to be protected, and that includes.
Right.
So they could
Right.
it could all be one package.
So welcome Terry and Sophia, and I don't know if board members have other questions for this. This is kind of a heads up of what will be coming down in terms of, typically the way we do this is we do we approve a budget first, and then we go out based on an estimate that what we think it's going to cost, right? And we try to stay within that budget. So, so we can bring back to the next meeting you're saying, I don't know, Erin's not on the call, but is there a confidence level of what this could actually cost, I guess? Have we done the research?
She was like, "Are you going to ask for 75?" And I'm like, "Oh, I was thinking I was told more in the 30 to $50,000 range." I'm like, "But if you'd like to have a $75,000 cap, I'm sure we could collect even more and better data." Because that's what
Okay.
a lot of it's going to end up being. It's going to be
Yeah.
ground truthing stuff.
Okay, and I think we just need to kind of refine that then and come back with more specifics. And like I said, it goes through the Board of Selectmen and then it goes through the Board of Finance to access the planning reserve. So,
Yeah.
um,
I believe I saw an email from Erin from yesterday where she had sent out a copy of the RFQ, at least to Jean. I don't know if it got forwarded to you all, because we
I
had
don't know if
put
that was
together a
enough.
draft RFQ, like I said,
Yeah,
last
I mean,
year.
I think that will come, we'll get that finalized and then that would go in with the funding
Right.
approval request, right?
Just so you could see what we're
Yeah,
looking at in
yeah.
terms of data collection.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a really good thing to have because we always have these debates about things and then things pop up and it's like now we're gonna have an officially endorsed, no,
Mm-hmm.
this is significant, this is important, it's part of our, inventory list. So I think it'll be a good thing for the town to have.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I think this seems like a reasonable request. I would encourage you not to overstate the expense. I would try to be, accurate. If there are some
Mm-hmm.
add-ons that you think have value and you want to put those as an addendum to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
if we had a little bit extra money, we could do this extra thing, and this is why it would be good. I think that's all
Mm-hmm.
fine, but I'm not, I'm not opposed to this, and so I would say that as your fellow commissioners want to talk, don't sell past the sale here.
yeah, yeah, I think
I mean,
I
guys,
think we're
too,
all
at the end of the day,
supportive.
like every RFP or RFQ that I've ever done, you don't have, I mean, we have to have a notional idea behind the scenes of what we can
Mhm.
afford, but you're gonna get all sorts of variations of what's going to come back anyways.
Yeah.
So, I think you just gotta kind of put a stake in the ground, say, here's what we're requesting, and then it may be plus a little bit, might be minus a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll proceed, sorry, Terry, you have a hand raised.
Uh, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, we were discussing this on the Conservation Commission, and I think if you'll allow us, a few of us would like to add a few things to Heather's overall fantastic summary. Thank you, Heather. But I'm also on the Madison Tree Advisory Committee, and the Tree Advisory Committee is actively, just like the Conservation Commission will be doing so, we'll be submitting changes to the planning and zoning revisions, recommended changes, and with the goal of preserving particularly our notable trees in town, on town property. However, in order to do that, we have to have an inventory. So again, it's a chicken and egg thing. We have to have the inventory before we can actually have all of this information be part of the planning and zoning revisions and the process. Our commission and the advisory committee are supposed to be into that consideration, that planning process. And it's crucial that we are. And this has been delayed for a long time. The most recent revision of the POCD, as you all know, it talks about the clear objective of we need to, for example, just as far as the trees side goes, increase the active management and preservation of trees by developing management plans for trees on town properties and providing opportunities for preservation and restoration through regulations. We can't do that without having an inventory. So we need the inventory. We understand that you understand that. It's just been a very long time to get this approved. I know the pedestrian and was it the pedestrian and bike advisory committee? They initially had, I think it was $75,000 for their study. Heather had a discussion with a gentleman from Yale who has done things like this, and he said probably around 50,000, but we're talking about a natural resource inventory of our whole town. So we don't want to cheapen the study, because this is data that's going to be critical to planning and zoning for decades. We're doing the revisions now on those planning and zoning regulations. So having this done and done well and properly is going to impact everything going forward. And
Well, I think we're all good. So I really do. I think yeah, I know, so you wanted to just add some comments, but I don't think there's any question. We want to move forward, and
Okay.
I think
Need a
we just
specific
work with,
recommendation from you
yeah.
guys or a specific
If I
request.
may,
Yeah.
if I may, I just want to say I'm glad that everyone agrees that it's really important that, well, we have to do it, but do we have a timeline? Will this be in the next budget?
So
When?
no, we have what's called a planning reserve. So there's a certain amount of money that is committed to a pool. And for these types of studies and things like that, we just have to go through and pull the money out of the fund, right? So it's like a reserve account for this. Because there's always things that pop up every year, and we kind of map out. This was added to the list last year. We've kind of been going through a couple different other processes, but now this is on the list, and we can come back at the next meeting with a specific. I mean, I guess usually we've gone in and gotten a budget approved and then gone out, because then we have both boards. You don't want to send out anything. You don't want to send out an RFQ or P. I don't know what the appropriate process is for this, without having funding in place, and you need board approval. So I think the next step is to come back with very specifics, decide how much money you'd like to do, an up to amount, and then we go through Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance. So you could put it on our next meeting, which is the end of April, and then the Board of Finance can approve it in May, and it can be the day after they approve it. You can go live with it. So you can plan on launching it in May. It takes 3-4 weeks to get responses, right? So you could technically maybe this summer start the project. So that's kind of how the
Okay.
timeline would work.
Yeah, we would very much like to be able to launch it this summer, because we have a couple of college students that are interested in doing some data collection for us, and I would love to be able to have it fit correctly into what.
Yeah, so I think we can, get things moving pretty quickly, because it was part of the list last year. We were pulling from all the different studies and saying, here are the things we got to plan out trying to do in the next 2 to 3 years. So now's this. So,
Okay.
but I have to review with Stacy where we are in the planning reserve also. We put a little money into it every year. And so some years where it's lumpy, we spend a lot, and then others years we don't spend a lot. So it built up a balance. So that's what we got to just see where we are in that. Okay. So I think we're good.
Okay, so I say put us on the agenda for 2 weeks from now, and we'll be back.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for all
much.
your work. Yep.
thank you.
So move on to item number 11. And that is discuss and take action to authorize the emergency management director to establish a community emergency response team, which is a CERT team volunteer program in the town of Madison. Can I get a motion?
Move.
And a second? Okay, so Ryan Duquesne is here, who's been kind of as a volunteer initiating this. It started out a little bit more a conversation about drones and evolved into like a much more robust volunteer organization to help us in emergencies. And he's actually, we put out just to see interest in town, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback. And so this action would basically just give Sam, as head of emergency management, the authority to really start mapping this out and planning it and going to the state and just saying we're behind doing this. There'll be other actions we have to take, I think, later, but this is just symbolically to say we're formally going to start doing a CERT team here. So Ryan, if you want to talk a little bit about all the great people that reached out on this.
Yeah,
that
sure.
weren't involved.
I'll be brief. We've had, as of this afternoon, we've had over 32 Madison residents indicate interest in volunteering for the program. And I shared with Sam and Peggy last week some of their backgrounds. And really impressive residents. And I've lived here my whole life, and most of the people on this list I have never had the opportunity to meet before. So really encouraged by not only the number of people that have indicated interest through our short time when I came to you guys a couple months ago asking if this was something that we could see if there was enough momentum in, but also just in the experience and the expertise that these folks have. Many of the volunteers have backgrounds in medicine as nurses, paramedics, doctors. Some of them are firefighters. I know we have at least one individual that was an instructor at the fire academy. And then equally, we have a bunch of folks that are licensed drone pilots that are interested in the aviation component. So really excited by kind of the momentum behind those that are indicating interest. Similarly, I've had some initial conversations with David Allen at the Madison Foundation to determine if there might be a mechanism for folks to donate money to this program to be used so that we don't have to tap into any of the taxpayer funds to help to provision this group with necessary equipment and or training. And that looks like it's going to be a possibility as well. So really excited about the momentum so far. And as Peggy indicated in the conversations with Sam, hoping that you all will provide him with the authorization that he'll need to have the conversations with the state to take the next steps.
So I think this is going to be a great thing.
Awesome.
And there's other towns that do have them, so we're going to model a little bit off of what they do, best practices and things like that. So, and this will also help us apply for some of the funding that's available through the state to kind of get, training materials and things like that. Any further questions for Ryan?
Sam in this conversation, he's on the meeting.
Yeah, he's been along. I don't know. I don't see him on
He's
right
there.
now.
He's there. I see
Is
him.
he?
He's on the attendees.
Why am I missing that?
It's all the way
I
at the
just
bottom.
promoted him.
This is a
Oh,
great
geez.
facet to add to the volunteering that goes on in the town regarding emergency services. This is not a daily type of volunteering. This is for extraordinary circumstances.
Right, Bruce.
It would be
It's often coined as like a force multiplier at times of need. So think of larger incidents, storms, times where we'll need to, help evacuate, residents or bring them into a shelter, staffing the shelter, running the shelter. But to your point, absolutely, it's not a first responder force. This is this is an extra, set of hands when we need it.
right. And the fact that we've got a lot of people with particular skills and experience putting their hand up is awesome. But Ryan, do you need anybody to bring more than just their enthusiasm and desire to help?
Well, absolutely. I mean, definitely in terms of, bringing ideas and expertise to the table, along with, donations at some point would also be really wonderful. But I think, the nice thing about this program, the way that these CERT programs are designed and facilitated by the state of Connecticut, is that there is a structure in place that not only, provides training and some guardrails in terms of its capabilities, but also, as I mentioned during our meeting a couple months ago, there is liability protection under this program provided by the state of Connecticut, as well as workers' compensation protection. So it's a pretty lightweight program to put within the town because there's limited financial costs associated with it.
Yeah,
And then-
and we've been coordinating obviously with Sam. This is, going to fall under his purview ultimately.
Yes.
So it all comes to, there's a citizen corp that's part of the state, Connecticut. That's where the application actually goes through. There is some limited funding for training. I think it's like $1,700. It's not a lot. They give out an initial backpack with a vest and stuff like that. There has to be at least a minimum of 10 people, maximum of 30 to run the class. It's probably about 20 hours of training. They do have to do some online ICS classes. They'll go through a background check. And then they'll also have to take the loyalty oath, to support the Constitution and all that stuff. And then, so the activation has to be approved by the state. So like if I deem it's necessary, I would have to contact our region coordinator, say, hey, I want to activate our CERT team. And then they'll either give us a yay or nay, but it's very, very rarely that they would say no. And it's more or less, would be more of a support role. I envisioned using them a lot, like for our 4th of July functions and stuff like that, maybe set up order stations depending on the day. If we have a hot day, if we have a long range fire, a long duration fire, where they could come and set up a rehab station for the firefighters, or if there's, say it's an apartment building, they'd be able to set up a place to have the, shelter the tenants for a time until we get the housing available. So there's a lot of other CERT teams around that activate in those ways. I know Hamden uses them a lot for their concerts. They have their summer concerts. They put them out there for the concerts as a support role to, make sure people aren't getting overheated and stuff like that. So there is, and the biggest need that I see is manning our shelter. Right now we have very inadequate staffing when we open up our shelter. So that's a very important role. And plus we're going to be moving into the new, over to Polson next year once this generator stuff gets in. So it's kind of perfect timing to get this team formed up and get it going. But it is a process. I don't know how many months it'll take, but I don't think too many months, but it's probably going to be 4 or 5 months before the team is actually ready for activation.
Sam, tell us again how this fits into the organizational structure of the town government.
So it actually runs off an arm of the state. So it's part of DEMIS. So it's like when we had during COVID, we activated the Medical Reserve Corps to start doing the passing out the vaccines and stuff like that. So we had to stand that up through the state. It's all run through the Department of Homeland Security, through the statutes and stuff. And that's why they have to take the loyalty oath. So you have to administer the oath, and realistically, they're kind of like an arm of the state of Connecticut. It's not really an arm of the town of Madison, even though they're here. They're protected underneath the state statutes and things like Ryan stated.
Sam, who do they take orders from? Who provides them direction?
So that would be me. So I have to activate them, and then they would get their orders of what they're supposed to do from me. We will probably need some type of team leader so that they could do their ongoing training and keep the enthusiasm going. Because obviously we don't have activations every day, like Ryan stated. But there will be ongoing training, and we just have to make sure there's a state of readiness, so we're not scrambling around. So once we get the group together, a team leader probably be picked, and then that person will be responsible for keeping the training up and making sure everybody's ready for activation.
I'd like to make a motion to make Ryan the team leader.
We'll wait on that, Scott. We'll wait on that.
Well, I'm ready to vote on this. I think that's what's
Okay.
Me too. This is great.
Good.
This is great stuff, Ryan. Really good.
Yep. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, there'll be more to come on this, but excited to get the process moving. So thank you. And thank you, Ryan, for all your background work and all that on this.
Thanks for your support and Sam's support.
Okay. So we will move on to the item number 12, discuss and take action to accept the donation of 7.5 acres of tidal wetlands known as MAP 32 Lot 12 and a public access easement on 178 Cottage Road, MAP 32 Lot 9, which will include a constructed deck, sidewalk, and stairs, plus 4 dedicated parking spaces from DMM Flow Ventures to the town of Madison, pending Board of Finance approval.
Moved.
Move.
Second?
Okay, we had talked about this during the last meeting, and this is just the formality of accepting the donation. Are there any additional questions on this?
Nope.
No? Okay, good. It'll be kind of interesting to see how this comes out. It'll be a nice amenity, I think, for people. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right, item 12 passes. Item number 13, discuss and take action to approve accepting the local transportation capital improvement program grant for the Scotland Avenue roadway improvements in the amount of $1,160,400 and to authorize the first selectwoman to sign all contracts and documents associated with this award pending Board of Finance approval.
Moved.
Second?
Okay, I don't know if Rob is available, but this is the project that we had originally received a community connectivity grant, and we were expecting to have to. That was for I think 800,000. We thought we were going to have to pay for the rest of the project, which could have been north of $2 million. I will say, hats off to Rob and working with the COG to get this to qualify for LOTSIP. So the town matching or a portion of paying for this project is significantly less now. So Rob, if you could just highlight that real quick.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So basically, we've had this project for a couple of years now. We first received the $800,000 community connectivity grant through the Connecticut Department of Transportation. This was also budgeted for in our CIP. But there was an opportunity here for some additional funding, a significant amount of additional funding to the state's local transportation capital improvement program, the LOTSIP. I would like to just note that this process started back in December prior to Christmas, and we knew there was going to kind of be a three-way split with this between the community connectivity grant, the municipal funding, and hopefully this LOTSIP funding. And Stantec, who's our consulting engineer on the project, really they went above and beyond here, and they continually revised the project's estimate, not the total cost, but the breakdown of these costs. And the DOT would comment on it, and then we would kind of go back to the drawing board and see what's the appropriate way to break out some of these items, and what's the fairest way to kind of to fund the project. And really, if it wasn't for Stantec's hard work, and then Jim Rode at the Scrog was instrumental in supporting the project, we would have never got this money. And this over 1 million excess of $1 million really closes the gap. And for a project that's so needed as far as roadway rehabilitation, drainage improvements, and pedestrian improvements, to get this amount of funding, I think is a really great thing for the town. We look forward to, hopefully, optimistically, the fall, but most likely we're looking at a sort of spring 27 construction.
Well, just to remind me, what's the exact amount that the town will need to be funding for this? And some of it was already in CIP, right?
Yep. So the total project cost is $2,592,000, and we got the $800,000 community connectivity grant to kind of kick this thing off, and we had $490,000 allocated in the town's CIP. which $114,500 was utilized encumbered for Stantec's design services. So there's about 375 500 remaining. And with this 1,160,400, there is a little bit more. There is a little bit more of a gap that's still needed to complete the project. But again, I think it's that number is about 250,000 on top of our sort of CIP number. But again, that's a significant decrease from a week ago needing over $1 million.
Yeah, okay, so there might be an additional 150,000 or something that we might have to put in.
Yeah,
200?
250K.
Okay, 250, okay. So just to be aware of that, I think this had originally, we thought we were gonna end up having to, do like over $1 million to make this move forward, and so this is great news. And it is a well-needed project, and so we're just excited that LOTSIP was able to work for it. So, any additional questions on this? No? All right, great.
Yes,
So,
amazing.
thanks for all the hard work on this and making this work for us. So, with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, awesome. Thanks,
Great job,
Rob.
Rob.
Thanks.
So item number 14 is discuss and take action to adopt a resolution authorizing the waiver of de minimis property taxes.
Moved.
Second.
Ken,
Okay, so this was actually something our tax collector, and I'm not sure, I know she was gonna have, oh, it looks like she is on. But basically, we have these like tax liabilities that are nominal, and sometimes it costs more to send out the bill than it does to actually collect, it's more than what the outstanding tax amount is. So this is something that a lot of towns do. They just have if it's under a certain amount, we waive it away, and we kind of end up saving money by doing that. So Christine, I don't know if you just want to spend a second. We can't hear you. You're muted.
You're muted.
There you go. Nope, we still can't hear you.
Nope.
You're not muted though.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, you're not muted, but it sounds like something's not working with your.
Well, Christina's figuring that out. Peggy,
Yeah.
were you provided with what the actual cost to the town is to
We
make
did.
it
We went through. She had like a whole spreadsheet. She did a lot of work on this. I just don't remember all the details, but it was very much just made sense. So she did come up with and then she also had examples of what other communities do. And a number of them have these de minimis things. So it's not it's not like we're going to lose out on a bunch of money or anything like that. If anything, we might save money because it's expensive now to mail to people, to do these things. So
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking is does it cost, $2.50 to collect $5, or does it cost $5 to collect $5, or
yeah, I'll let her talk. I mean, Christine, if you want to come into my office, I'm on. You can just come into my office. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Peggy, while we're waiting for Christina, I was wondering whether there would be any merit in considering to index this number so that it doesn't have to be revisited frequently.
I don't
Stacy's
know.
joining.
For instance, if it were, 3 times the cost to create the bill, the actual tax liability would have to be something like the cost of the bill times 3.
Yeah.
Something like that, right, Al?
Yeah.
Better.
Well, the good thing that some towns actually have this as an ordinance, which seemed, and we talked to town council, I think, and we could just do this through a resolution. So Stacy, go ahead, because I know we met with Christina, and I don't remember the total dollar amounts, but
Yeah. I don't want, oh, you can't unmute, Christina.
No, it's giving me trouble.
Okay, can you hear her on my phone right now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Hi guys, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's giving me trouble to go off. So currently it costs $1.20 to create a tax bill. With about 113 bills currently for the current grand list is getting created for $5 and under. It's cost about $322 for those tax bills. But we have so many getting created for 61 cents, $1.47, 90 cents, 92 cents. And that's why I met with Stacy and Peggy to review this. There is so many towns in 169 towns in the state that has this in place already, or one of few that doesn't. We did do a spreadsheet to see what the majority of the state does with other towns, and they do $5. There's some that do $3, some do 10, but the state statute does allow up to $25.
And Christina, why are these bills created? Like, can you just give an example why we would create a bill for $1.25?
It's whatever the assessor puts in.
So personal property,
yes,
or
it's personal property, motor vehicle sub. Those are the majorities. Majority is motor vehicle and motor vehicle sub. But they're such small bills. We have some complaints that come in. I did do the math. It does cost a town $1.20 just to create these bills. This does not include administrative costs, and it does not include if it's not paid timely and I have to send out a delinquent notice. So that would be additional.
So that's just the hard cost. It's not any of the organizational cost.
What was that, Bruce?
That's just the hard cost for it. It doesn't include any of the soft lost time and productivity, and could be spending our time doing something better.
Correct. That's just for printing and processing the bill, the envelope and postage for an original bill to get created. That's the $1.20.
Yeah, I would argue we're spending probably another $5 to $10 minimum just on the administrative side.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then you add in, if it's not paid timely, we're sending out delinquent notices that will cost additional. And that's at a higher rate for postage because that's through us and not through our software company.
And to clarify, these are original bills that start. It's not like somebody underpays for $1 and now we're going to write that off. We're not doing that. These are original bills that are created for the October 1st grand list, or the difference in the motor vehicle supplement. So it's not like people can just short their payment by $1 and then we're going to write it off. So these
Correct. This is for original bills only, to waive creating the original tax bill.
Is this common across other towns that we put a waiver in place?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're one of a few towns that doesn't have this resolution in place.
All right, let's make it happen.
In the state does.
I think it's common sense, right?
Yeah. We're wasting time talking. We're wasting time talking about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, and to give Christina credit, she has been trying to do this for years, and we're finally moving forward. So thank you. It's definitely
come to me, Christina first. I would have helped you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
thank
great.
you, guys.
All right, thank you. Yep.
Have a good night.
Got that done. All right. Item number 15 is discussion of proposed town video retention policy for town board and commission meetings. I had directed staff to start looking at all our retention policies. There are things through the state that are required to hold on to certain documents. There's FOIA requirements. But one of the big ominous things is all these meetings that we electronically store now. We record a lot of meetings. And I think our board is going to have to make a decision about going forward, just practically, do we need to be, having all these hybrid meetings? Should we kind of go through and prioritize boards that should continue to have hybrid meetings? And those are conversations we need to be held, but there's a retention issue for the ones that we do record. And so really it's been going on 5 years. We've been doing this, 6 years, right? So 2020 it started. And it's going to be ginormous as we move forward in terms of the data. And right now it's not really costing us too much because Zoom has, a free storage, so to speak, for these things. We also upload copies onto YouTube. And so we're just trying to get through a better policy about what we do with these things and how long we retain them. So I know Nancy is here, obviously, so if she could come up and talk to this, and I know she'd worked with Aaron. And this is going to be one of several different policies. We're going to talk about email as the other one. We have no email retention policy. So the problem with that is if you get a lawsuit or you get a FOIA request, we have to give everything, which can be a problem, right? Because now it's going back to old servers or whatever. And so we need to just start thinking about this. And most places have a policy. We keep it for 5 years. We do this, we do that. And then it just gets into a cycle. And then if we do get any kind of FOIA request or there's litigation involved, we know we only keep 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is. So alternative, this is Aaron Fliss is our new Director of Administrative Services in charge of technology. And I don't know if he's been to the board except through budgets. So welcome. And then he's been working obviously with the town clerk on this. So I'll let them just talk a little bit about this first piece of this, the video retention policy.
Yeah, I mean, Nancy, do you want to start? Or do you want me to take it away?
Why don't you start and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, I mean, so Peggy kind of touched on all the points that I would touch on. It's really just a matter of kind of housekeeping. We have all of these videos. We may have crossed the threshold into 1,000 since we last counted the number of videos. But we were, 1,000 individual videos of potentially over an hour each. It's a lot of footage. It's a lot of recordings. And so we just want to kind of get a structure in place so that we have a policy that we can lean on. And Nancy and I put together kind of a proposal based off of the Connecticut State Library standards, FOIA standards, and then kind of gave some grace so that we can continue to be transparent and allow access to the information for as long as it's reasonable. We actually ended up extending that out as far as what the town would be retaining for substantially longer than what's actually required of us. But I think you should all have a copy of kind of the proposal that Nancy and I put together, and our team. It wasn't just the two of us. And that should kind of give a rough outline of, first of all, when a video is required to be recorded and posted online, which is an important distinction. The difference between in-person, Zoom only, and hybrid matters in this context a lot, especially Zoom only and hybrid. And then as well as kind of just the 3 tiers that we outlined as far as where our requirements are. FOIA being 45 days of online public viewing. Connecticut State Library standard is 6 months. And we're proposing kind of 2 years of online public viewing with a year of us potentially holding videos for any legal issues or things like that where it's accessible through our back-end access. Does that sum it up, Nancy?
Yeah, it does. So the format that we gave you was really maybe to post on our website for the public to view and understand a little bit about, the difference between in-person, hybrid, and then Zoom only. And then we would be doing additional documentation behind the scenes for all of the employees on how to handle the Zoom, where to then post it and how to post it. So, there's still got to be more work done with this for the back end, but we thought at least for the public to put out something basically as simple as we can, understandable about the specifics, was a good approach. We did a little research from my office and found only Old Saybrook had something posted on their website. And then we poked around a little bit more and found a college that had something on. I know Aaron found, I can't remember what it was from or who had it.
I believe
With,
it was East Granby, I believe it was.
yeah,
I'll
with
look into it and verify.
something really specific, which will explain when we're going to do retention, make it very transparent, and right to the point about what we're going to be doing. But this was really just the first step in moving a little bit deeper into things.
Yeah, we just want to kind of read the room and get an
Yeah.
idea of where the selectmen are in their kind of stance on how we're approaching this and make sure we're heading in the direction that everyone is comfortable with.
Yeah, and I want to just highlight that because we have had a lot of people, you know, come and complain, that the video's not up in time, and the video is not required to be up unless it's a Zoom meeting, or Zoom only meeting. Hybrid meetings, there's no requirement to post a recording, right? But we do these as a courtesy because I think it's helpful, especially when there's important things that we're talking about. People can't make the, Zoom there or the hybrid meeting, that we like to offer opportunities for people to view it outside of normal hours, right? So that's why we're trying to come up with something that kind of is in the spirit of that, but then, there, and we try to be timely, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily get up as quickly as, but there are requirements about the meeting minutes, right?
Well,
That's the official record of the meeting, right?
there actually are requirements about the Zoom as well.
Zoom, yes, for Zoom,
yeah,
but not for the hybrid.
But if it is recorded,
Yeah,
we do need to post it, maintain it if it's saying that it's being recorded.
There's no requirement for us to record, but if it is
Right.
recorded, we have to post it.
And maintain it.
So wait, that's okay. Maybe I misread that then. So,
Yeah.
You have to record it, or you have to, if you record the meeting,
Right.
then you have to post it.
That's part of why guidance to staff is
Right.
important, so
Yeah.
that they understand the difference between a hybrid meeting and a fully Zoom meeting, so that they know
Right.
whether to trigger recording or not. Because if it is
Right.
recorded, it has to be posted.
So
And the retention policy is how long then? I know we went through this a while back. I'm trying to remember now.
It's
When
kind of
does the video
two
recording, is it the same as when if it was all Zoom? So you have to post that in 7 days? I don't think I realized that. So that's a,
So it is,
Yeah.
it's still within the 7 days. And the thing to remember is, we started this in 2020. We also started, using that civic program. What we first had was very cumbersome for the employees and all the boards and commissions. We tried to
Yeah.
streamline it, and things kind of went a little sideways, maybe. New employees coming on or new people assigned to a board or commission. Maybe they're not understanding how to post things. So this is a good avenue to pull all of that together, so that not only do we have the retention, but we'll also be putting something together that's more uniformed for all the employees and the boards and commissions to follow. And so that they can also follow the FOI regulation of the 7 days along with the minutes.
okay. So I think, yeah, because I do think that it's not clear on this document as written, though, that if a meeting is required, it is recorded. It needs to be
Yeah,
posted in
we
the time
can call
frame.
that. This is a little bit of a pared down version of the original
Yeah.
document, and
Yeah,
I think the
okay.
original
But I
really
would just
had
make that clear,
more
because when
clearly
I
stated.
read this on hybrid, so I know this is a conversation when you're developing the policy, but because I think that is an important point, and maybe that was, this all passed what in these updated guidelines passed in 2023, I think. With the allowing for hybrid Zoom meetings, and I know a lot of the
Right.
guidelines changed for what had to be available. So, yeah, I think making it a little bit more clear, just so we set
Okay.
public expectations, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that was in here was, how long do we have this available on the website, right?
Right.
And the recommendation I think that you guys came up with is 2 years. And then with a total retention where we'd keep it for 3 years. Now that does not mean that people can't download it during that time, right? You know, if somebody's interested in
Absolutely.
a topic or whatever. But in terms of actually having it held onto our server, right? That, then we would just have to clear it out. So thoughts on that? To me, that's probably one of the bigger things, that the board thinks about that. The state, you only have to keep it available for 45 days according to FOIA. And then
Right.
you said the library requires 6 months.
Yes.
Right.
So
Or, well, there's some nuance to that because planning and zoning has different thresholds.
yeah,
But
right.
we would be our proposal is well above those thresholds. So we
Right.
shouldn't come across that as a problem, barring any outliers.
So can you
What
also explain, and I'm sorry, I'm dominating this because we didn't get a chance to kind of have another meeting before this came to the board, but the other confusing bit about this is the YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Okay, so we actually post our meetings to the YouTube channel, right? So we post them on our website next to the agenda, right? So you can go get the recording that way. And then we also post them to this YouTube channel. And I think that was kind of something that we did before because of when we were streaming, right? So it wasn't when we had Zoom, because right now, so can you talk about that? And is that our YouTube channel? Because once they go to YouTube, they are basically there forever, right? Unless YouTube.
We can request deletion on our YouTube channel. It's in our possession. It's a cloud hosting platform. It's not really different from hosting it on Zoom from like a ownership of the data perspective. It's our data while it's out there. We can request to have it taken down on the YouTube end, and the file will be removed and inaccessible.
But does that
Deleted.
also, are we obligated though to manage that? I guess my point is more like, once again, you get a FOIA request from 5 years ago. Are we required then to go to the
Yeah.
YouTube channel,
I
which
don't,
is publicly available, and pull that down and supply it?
I would lean on Nancy a little bit, but my inclination is to say yes. We still own the data while it's there. I think it would still be
We do own the data then.
it's our data while it's on YouTube. We may not be paying for the platform, but it's our data.
what is the retention requirement for minutes? Meeting
Minutes are
minutes.
for minutes, for a regular meeting would be handed into the town clerk's office within 7 days,
No. How long do we retain the minutes?
forever, in paper format.
And is there any incremental expense for uploading onto YouTube and leaving the videos there?
There's no expense at this time. I think there's always the potential of additional costs if policies change. At the moment, both Zoom and YouTube are not charging us for the amount of data we're storing.
I mean, would it? I think there's sort of the letter of the law and the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish here. That's the space that we're navigating. If we could upload these to YouTube, the link on the webpage, the town webpage, could just be to that YouTube location. And we could, I mean, if there's a retention in years, we could just say we're not going to be maintaining or ensuring videos in perpetuity, but we will pay attention for the first X number of years. We'll make sure that they're available for that. But I'm thinking about discussions that go on in town that can be 6, 7, 8 years, and residents may want to go back and review the conversation as it unfolds over a period of many years. So and I realize that the videos are not minutes, that in the technical sense they're not, but I also believe a lot of residents look at them as if they were minutes. And so
I agree with the spirit comment,
with
you know?
AI right now too,
Yeah.
you can take a
Yeah.
video and turn it into minutes in 2 seconds. So
Well, but I'm looking at this more, I'm just looking at it as if we own it, it's an obligation now we have, right? So it creates a requirement, through either litigation or through as something that has to be provided, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like there should be this, if there's a way to offload them, they can live out there in the cyberspace that we're not going to have to go hunt them down. Like some staff member 10 years from now is going to be running around trying to find every possible video that was ever taken on some meeting that happened 10 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So like if it exists, we have to provide it, I guess is how I'm looking at it. So if it exists under our domain, so that's how I'm looking at it. Like,
something we need to get guidance though, Peggy, from town
yeah.
council, like what that feels legal-esque to some extent.
Well, it's a policy. I mean, think about it right now. How long has the town had email? Technically, somebody could request something from 25 years ago, and we'd have to go pull out some old data server to find some email from, 1998. You know what I mean? There's no like, maybe I'm overstating this, but every company I've ever worked in has a policy about retention, right? And it's just
Yes,
we can
my
decide
point
on
was
what we
not
think
that.
is the right thing, but
No, that wasn't
I
my
just think
point.
we have, huh?
That wasn't my point. My point
Yeah.
was, is there guidance they should be giving to us on what the appropriate timeline for retention is? And then I also think there's got to also be some best practices out there.
Well, that's what this is. That's what I'm saying. They're coming back and making a recommendation. The staff went and checked with FOIA. They had a conversation with FOIA. I think, to be honest,
FOIA should
FOIA was
know.
almost like
FOIA should
less is
know.
more.
Yeah.
Less is more. They were kind of not advising us to have like 5 years or 10 years because so Nancy, you can talk to that.
Yeah, yes, I did speak to FOIA, and my original suggestion was we were looking at 5 years, and they said no, that's much too long.
Believe he said
So
one,
I told him we were looking at like the 2 and 3 year mark, and he thought that that was much more reasonable. Yeah.
but does that policy have to conflict with throwing it up on YouTube and just leaving it there forever? I mean, I get that it's our copyrighted material, but if it's out in the public domain and discoverable by anybody searching,
and Nancy, you can correct me if I'm mistaken here, but they could still submit a FOIA request if they don't feel like searching it, and we would still be obligated to produce that data. Even if it is publicly available, if they don't feel like Googling it, we would still have to do that.
We could direct them on where to find something as well. If we have something on our website, we can direct somebody where to find it.
so you don't have to spoon feed somebody who just says, I don't even want to get on my computer to look for the thing that you've posted on your website. You have to go find it and give it to me.
Not necessarily. We could also tell them that, if we have it here in the office and can access it, they can come here as well, to view things.
So, okay, so if we can say that, then we can certainly say, here's the link for YouTube. You can go get it yourself.
We have people who, what if they're blind? What if they don't have access to a computer, but they want to hear this meeting that was recorded? There are a lot of interesting situations, to be honest, that have come up that we've had to, try to accommodate people, which I think is a good thing, trying to accommodate. And I'm just trying to limit the, vast nature of what we would have to accommodate for, I guess.
I didn't think it's necessarily limiting, but it's just putting a stake
Scott's
in the
point,
ground.
it really comes down to what's legal and what's not legal to do, right? Is it
There's
if
if we want to be legal, then the legal says we're only required to do 45 days online public viewing, 6 months online public viewing under the state record. So this is more about what we feel is the right way for the public. And the staff is recommending 2 years. I mean, I'd even be comfortable with 3 years or 5 years, but I just think we have to have some end point, right? Right now it's forever.
Her point is we just need a policy. We need a stake in the ground.
Right. And they're making a recommendation in here of 2 years. Total retention, 3 years. That's what's in your packet. So if you feel like that's not long enough, then that to me is like what the conversation is. I think, it's more like what do we feel comfortable with? My
Making a
thinking had
decision
been
tonight, right?
Pardon?
We're
No.
just thinking about it. We're just making.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
This is just us sharing our
this,
thoughts.
yeah, and then we're going to also be bringing forward, email retention, a lot of different things. So we're going to always follow the law of what's required, and then we're going to be trying to be practical about it to just have some, bookends on it to a certain extent, because there is going to be a point where we're going to start getting charged to store this stuff too. It is going to start happening.
Peggy,
I mean,
I'd like to hear from town council for two reasons. I want to make sure that what we're doing does meet a legally defensive, gives us a legally defensive position. But secondly, I want to make sure whatever motion we pass, whatever policy we create is worded in such a way that it gives us the maximum protection that we need. I'm not sure any of us know how to formulate the actual language of this policy. I would just feel more comfortable if town council reviewed it.
Oh yeah, no, we would absolutely have them review a
Oh,
final
good.
policy. No, absolutely. This is like I said, we're starting the conversation. We don't want to take something to town council until we come up with what we're comfortable with, and then we have them weigh in on it. But I do know that they're already looking at what the legal obligations are, right? And so, and I think we had a conversation with Carrie on this, but any final policy, we would definitely have legal review. But it sounds like, that's where, as we move forward with this, I think the big question, if we're good with having a policy, okay, then the big questions are going to be how long, like what are those timeframes are, right? And I think we're all conscious of that. These videos are great. I mean, they help people go back and look, remember how things were done. But it is a big, you know, it is going to become a big thing, that the storage and all the stuff and managing it. And, like even YouTube, which is where we have people complaining it's too burdensome. It's not organized well. We're like, we're not really there to manage YouTube. But, our official way is having it on with the agendas and the recordings available next to the minutes. So,
Well,
but then,
just to keep this discussion moving, I'm comfortable with 3 years.
okay.
I'm looking for other people to react.
I think I would probably want to see it to be a little bit longer, but I would want to understand the onerous part of it too. I don't want us to collapse under the weight of our own data. I don't have that desire, but I don't think that that's there. I want to make sure that the residents can see information. 3 years feels a little short, but I am interested to hear what Carrie has to say about it.
And again, we're also taking some of this as a recommendation from FOIA, it sounds like, as well, who, frankly, are the experts in this. So
now they're not having a good day up in Hartford either. So,
Yeah, and I think about it from the perspective too of, how long do some of these projects take, right? As we're actually running through them. So sometimes you have people that are new to town and want to be involved in the process and they need to get the historical data. And quite honestly, it's like the minutes don't provide a lot of information from a lot of our boards and commissions. So without the video, you don't really have a way of knowing. So, the FOIA recommendations, I think, would not be very public and user friendly. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to be paying for data
Well,
storage or anything like that either. Um, 3 to 5 years somewhere in there seems reasonable, but yeah, I mean,
and the thing is we could decide, and my gut reaction had been like 5 years because I figured that's, most of the boards and commission terms are 4 years, right? And it kind of gives you, that's kind of a life cycle for things. Um, but the other piece is maybe we have a different retention for our board. Because remember, this is also any hybrid meeting that's being recorded. And that's where I think we also need to talk through when we're offering hybrid going forward. I think we were all like, let everybody be hybrid. You can have a board meeting where the members of the board can attend hybrid, but you don't have to make it hybrid for the public, right? So I think we need to think through because that's created burdens on, the types of rooms that we have to offer for people to hold meetings and stuff. So part of this is also maybe having that conversation, and maybe we decide that we want to have Board of Selectmen 10 years retention or something, but like all these other boards, 3 years. There's really no
I
need.
think you've got to separate the elected boards from the non-elected boards. So to me, you would treat Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and Board of Education exactly the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point right there.
Yeah. Okay, well, this was meant to be a conversation starter, right? The goal is to come up with a policy. It's a lot to think about, and I don't think the expectation was you're gonna all go, great, let's vote on it. It's supposed to be, it's a big thing, and I think we all recognize the value of having these recordings, but I think we're also realizing there's a burden that goes with that, and we're just trying to manage it properly. So, with that, then, if everybody's good, we'll be coming back with an update and, on this with some other thoughts on it. Okay?
Very good.
Thank you, guys. All right. So, I guess we're up to citizens' comments.
There's one.
Fran's
Hold
got
on.
his hand. Oh, we got a bunch of hands.
There we go.
Go ahead, Fran.
There you go. Hi. I just want to thank you guys for, I wanted to thank the Board of Selectmen for supporting the investment that Heather brought up in our natural and cultural resources with the natural resource inventory. Having an up-to-date tree inventory is best practice for tree preservation and are regularly done across the state. And there are a number of vendors that I know of that do conduct them, and they do them in different ways. So having that line item would be a good thing. I really like how this investment also can be rolled across the needs of the Conservation Commission, Historical Asset Information, and the Tree Advisory Committee all together like that. It just makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead,
Next, state your
Samantha.
name, address, yep, for the record, please.
Samantha.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, something keeps popping up on my screen. I'm the chair of the Tree Advisory Committee, and I also would like to thank Heather Crawford for her well-spoken message about the need for the natural resource inventory. As a committee that has a lot of overlapping interests with the Conservation Commission, um, I think we look forward to working with them on many, again, overlapping interests in the future, and it'll be good to finally see this get this done, as it is a major component of what we need to fulfill our charge as the Tree Advisory Committee. Thank you, Heather.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
One more.
Next up, yep, please state your name and address.
My name
Ahead,
is
David.
David Kozak, and I'm a resident of West Hartford, Connecticut, but I've had the good fortune of visiting the town beaches, including the Surf Club Beach that was recently improved using a state of Connecticut grant to the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. I am a little concerned that the if not the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, as I should say, the spirit of the contract that awarded $700,000 to the town, that required the town not to assess non-resident fees to access the Surf Club Beach to be more than twice that of the residents, is being abandoned after the 3-year period of the contract. My reading of the contract doesn't indicate that that term within the agreement that transferred the funds was limited to the 3 years of the contract, but that rather that term that limited the fee differential to no more than twice the resident fee was something that applied in perpetuity. And for that reason, I don't think your decision on agenda item 8 to return to a rather high fee of $75, for example, on the weekends for a non-resident to visit the beach is consistent with either the spirit or the letter of that agreement that it has with the state of Connecticut.
Okay, all right, thank you for your comment. Any other hands raised?
No.
I do not see any. All right, with that then, I guess, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all in favor say aye. Great. All right, thank you guys. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.